Welcome to One Belly Wednesday. This video today is for people who are trying to make the big decisions about what they want to do with their child in the first year of life, even if you're a new parent. And I want to be able to share that with you so you can make a quick decision based off of your values, not based off of people telling you what you should do or shouldn't do. So I have a lot of sources of inspiration for where I make my decisions from. And one of them is from fellow ICPA instructors, the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. I love this group. The doctors think about health and about their lives in a very similar way that I've been trying to explain it to you guys. One of those instructors, Dr. Jay Warren, has an online class that I'm taking right now about the psychology of birth from the baby's perspective. I find this stuff really interesting. Earlier today, as I was taking Jay's class, I heard him say something that really resonated. I wanted to share with you guys today, which is this idea that a lot of people come into pregnancy and birth with a really intense focus on those two phases. And they forget to plan about the next phase, which is, all right, now I got the baby, now what? That parenting aspect, he used a really good analogy, I think. He said that a lot of people will plan and plan and plan, spend years planning, sometimes a lifetime getting ready for their wedding day, right? But really what the focus should be on is what happens afterwards, what happens with the marriage. And so not to dismiss or discount what's going to happen with pregnancy or birth by any means, but putting some thought ahead of time, even especially as a new parent, but even as if this isn't your first rodeo, if you have a couple kids already, I think this exercise is really worth it. One of the ways that we begin that conversation in my office is during pregnancy, when we have patients do our intake form, is I ask them if any doctor or healthcare professional or their birth provider has talked with them about some of these big topics. We talk about things like breastfeeding, or for mothers who are expecting boys, circumcision, or vaccination, or co-sleeping, or baby wearing, or car seat safety. Those things are really the big topics, right? And I am surprised. Like, I started this a couple years ago because I wanted to at least open the door for some of these topics. I'm so surprised at the number of moms that come in here and nobody has even talked with them about it, right? And so I ask at the bottom, would you like more information about any of these? And I have a lot of moms who check that box and say, yes, I'd like to talk about all this stuff. And so my job as a physician is not to tell people what to do. My job is to give people information and then support the decisions that they're going to make. And so I want to tell you how I make those decisions for me and my family. What I do is go back to another one of my mentors, a big source of inspiration in my life. Her name is Ina May Gaskin. And those of you who are familiar with the natural childbirth movement probably already know Ina May is, like, I refer to her as the Michael Jackson of midwifery. She is by far and away like the world's most well-known midwife. She really is credited, in my mind, to the rise of midwifery that I've seen in my generation. And Ina May said something to me one time while we were sitting around at dinner. She said that if you ever have questions about what to do as a parent, nature leaves all kinds of clues. In her example, she was talking about gorillas, and that if a baby monkey is nursing from the mama and bites mama, mama doesn't just sit there and grit her teeth and go, oh, I just need to get through this. No, baby gets set down, and then baby learns, oh, we shouldn't bite mom if that's what we want, is we want the milk. And I think that's a really interesting way of looking at things. And so when it comes time to thinking about whether or not I should be sleeping with my son, sharing the same bed, doing that kind of thing when he's a baby, I looked back and said, well, when I was a kid and I looked at what the dogs did with their puppies, they all slept together, and that way mom knew if there was something that was wrong with the puppies. And you just kind of nuzzle them and check in on them every once in a while. Now, obviously, those are dogs who also aren't using alcohol and drugs, right? And so there are some people who have breathing issues, and so they have problems just with themselves being able to get a good night's sleep, or they sleep way too deeply, and so they're not aware of their own bodies. I understand that some people have a critique on co-sleeping, but that's where it's coming from. Not that normal, good functioning physiology should say, oh, well, you shouldn't do it, right? Topics of like circumcision. I did not know until I started reading the Pathways to Family Wellness magazine that there was an option on whether or not you could circumcise a boy. I just thought that was something that was done in American hospitals. That's just what we did. And it wasn't until I started investigating that as an issue of body autonomy, like personal autonomy, and investigating it as an issue of, well, would I, you know, what would be the harm in giving that choice not to me necessarily as this child's father, but giving the choice to the child, right? So that if my son decides he no longer wants to be intact, that's up to him. I thought of it in a really different way. I said, oh, well, I wouldn't choose to get my son a tattoo necessarily. And, I saw all the evidence, right? I looked at all the, the history of evidence that said, well, look, this STD could be prevented. But then the goalpost shifted, and then it was a different STD because that one looks like there wasn't any difference. And then it was a different one and a different one. And I'm going, man, all right, well, it looks like it's a little unsettled, probably for the first, 16, 18 years of his life until he's sexually active, because that was the primary concern. Maybe we just kind of leave that ball in his court, right? So these are those kind of conversations. And what I kind of come back to are those values. What does nature do? What is the example out there? What matches with my values of personal autonomy and also the intelligence of the human body? So as a chiropractor, one of the things that we talk about constantly is that the nervous system is intelligent. That if we can understand and harness that innate intelligence and start watching it and observe it and get really curious about it, it leads to a decision-making process that's in line with what nature has designed. Finally, one of my biggest mentors, my biggest influence in my life, her name is Dr. Jeannie Young. And Jeannie used to say something that I still use today, which is don't leash the puppy. I will tell you, as a father of a very active 4-year-old, that comes into my mind all the time. When he's climbing on things, when he's running down ramps, when he's just like screaming at the top of his lungs to the rock and roll we're listening to in the Jeep, right? I listen to Jeannie's voice in the back of my head that says, how big of a deal is this behavior right now? Is he learning something from it? Is he being destructive? Is he causing harm to other people? If he's not, don't leash the puppy. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. As you're looking at those big questions, right? Have a set of values that you and your partner have talked about. What do we want to do as parents for this child? What is going to be our litmus test so that when someone comes up to us and says, oh, hey, listen, now it's time for the Hep B shot, what is your response to that? Don't get caught off guard. Be prepared. I know a lot of times people don't feel confident when they're in that situation. And so I have to tell you, the only place that I ever see confidence come before courage is in the dictionary. You have to first have the courage based off of your own convictions, based off of your own values, in order to say, how about we wait on that? How about we just kind of investigate a little bit more? We'll come along with that. Let's get a really good understanding about all the different things that would come along with that. That way you're making a decision based off of your values and something that's in line with you and how you feel in the right situation for your family, and not just because you're told to. Okay, so if these kinds of videos are things that you enjoy, remember, I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want you to like our page, Mama's Chiropractic. I always give these One Belly Wednesdays at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. And so I want you to make sure that you tune in, set your calendars, set your alerts, so that we come to you every single week and share information like this. We have a parenting mastermind group that's been forming. We've been sharing some videos with some of those people. So contact us, leave a comment down below if you'd like some more information about that.